Hi, welcome back to the fifth part of the lecture on the economics of intimate partner violence and health. Well, in the last part we have ended. I have ended the part abruptly. That was because we were very close to the 15-minute mark. After the 15th minute, it will end automatically. So I should make sure that our video length is not longer than 15 minutes. So now we can move to the second article. We are actually moving slower than I expected, but that's okay. So we might have more than 6 parts maybe. So our next article is on Jordan, written by Lenze and a couple of co-authors. And basically, he has considered the heterogeneity effect and used the IV instrumental variable method to uh, basically uh, uh, get rid of that effect. IV method is basically when one of your variables, for example, intimate partner violence, is a factor that is affecting your original variable. In that case, your dependent variable, the variable you are testing the effect on. As I said, you are looking to how intimate partner the economic conditions are affecting intimate partner violence, but intimate partner violence itself is affecting the economic conditions. You find a variable that is correlated with the economic conditions, basically, but not correlated with the intimate partner violence. So then you replace that variable with your original variable. That variable will represent your original variable in that case. This is one method. Actually, they have used a second method to deal with heterogeneity, and that's basically running the regression first and then taking the error terms, which means actually there are with our available variables, we are trying to explain the reasons, the intimate partner violence, and each variable is basically explaining part of the intimate partner violence possibility, but let's say a part of the change. Even if we take all the variables we have taken into account, basically, basically we take them and we try to predict whether someone will get intimate partner violence or not. We will make an error. We will make a mistake, even with our original data set, not with a new data set, but even with our original data set. And those errors, for each person, they have taken those error terms, and they have also made those error terms a variable. So the error terms of the first regression has also become a variable. You still will have new error terms even if you do that by but apparently that's a method to also deal with the heterogeneity problem. So these two methods were used, and they have basically found the employment doesn't have any effect on intimate partner violence. This might be maybe because actually there is one small effect. We will see that it's not 100% accurate, but 90, maybe 85% or so accurate. 85%, 90% accurate. Maybe that's because, as we have told before, the special conditions of the place where they have made this research, which is by the way Jordan. Jordan in the Middle East. Let me show you the place. Let me move this a little bit. This was the Puerto Rico. So Jordan is here, basically. This is Jordan. This is Jordan. Yes, this is Jordan. It kind of looks like the Wild West also, actually, especially these sandstones. And it also looks to some extent maybe like also Turkish markets. Anyway, well, let's look to the data they had covered. Basically, that data is on the woman's working status, characteristics of husband and wife, and the household conditions, basically, and regional conditions also. Household characteristics, basically. You will see it in more detail. Moment. This is Bueno. Where is my Lens article? Let me close the Bueno article, by the way. This was the first article. And then, that's, yes, Lens article. These are the variables: wife's education, husband's education, spousal age difference, wealth quintile, kinship marriage, spousal education difference. These are it. So age is one thing, and the type of to the types of violence, another type of violence, which is the emotional violence, is added. Basically, in Jordan, well, when you just look purely to the possibilities, if a wife works, their possibility of getting emotional violence gets smaller, physical violence slightly higher, sexual violence slightly lower, and in general, slightly lower possibility of getting violence. Age, by the way, well, increases the possibility. When you increase your age, the increase of getting emotional violence increases. Well, physical violence peaks at 30, 39, but decreases a little bit in the age of 40s. Sexual violence likewise. In general, we might say domestic violence is increasing when the age increases. And as to the other variables, well, the education of wife typically decreases all types of violence. Education of husband also, well, it decreases the domestic violence, but no, actually not. When the husband has a little bit education, between 1 and 6, the possibility of being violent for that husband is higher. In every sense, I mean, in emotional sense, in physical sense, and in the sexual sense. But after the education years past 6, then that possibility is decreasing. If the wife is older, let's see that. Well, when the wife is at the same age, the possibility of violence is lowest. But when the wife is younger, the possibility of emotional violence increases. The possibility of physical violence is highest when the wife is really very young. But if it is not that young, the possibility is lower than the case when the wife is older. The possibility of getting sexual violence is highest when the wife is older. Wealth quintile is basically, well, it's also complicated. It's in the lowest quintile you have a lot of emotional and physical violence. However, in the second quintile and the third quintile, it decreases. In the fourth and fifth quintile, well, the physical violence decreases, but the emotional violence increases a little bit. Sexual violence is also highest at the middle quintile. It decreases in the second quintile, and it's low in the fourth and fifth quintile. So wealth difference is actually, its effect is really very chaotic, not easy to say what's happening there. So kinship marriage is interestingly decreasing the emotional and physical violence, slightly increasing the sexual violence. This is the case when marriage is done between the relatives. Well, and spousal education difference. If wife is better educated, if husband is better educated, the violence degree is tend to be higher. But if the wife is better educated, there is still there is still higher violence compared with the case when they are equally educated. Well, those are of course the raw results. They might change when we are making the statistical analysis. There is one analysis that is done without taking the endogeneity problem into account. But I will pass that analysis and I will basically move to the analysis where the endogeneity problem is taken into account. So, working status, so these are domestic violence, emotional violence, physical violence, sexual violence. Working status doesn't have any effect on anyone. Husband's education has an effect, a decreasing effect. That means this, if the second one is minus, that means the effect is decreasing. So a decreasing effect on the physical violence. Here, this is not anymore like the analysis in the previous article. Here, if any number is greater than 0, that means the effect is positive. If a number is less than 0, the effect is negative. So we are not taking 1 as our benchmark here. And then, if husband is employed, that decreases the possibility of sexual violence, by the way. If wife's education decreases the possibility of sexual violence, basically. Household sites increasing the sexual and physical violence. Wealth in general decreases the sexual. No, this is physical violence. Well, living in an urban area decreases the physical violence. Living in Amman, that's the capital of the Jordan, increases the physical violence. Kinship marriage will decrease the physical violence, and also the sexual. This is domestic emotional violence. Living in Amman also basically increases it increases the emotional violence, and having more wives basically increases all types of violence. So let's look to the second article, second analysis maybe briefly. Here the wife's working status has a decreasing effect on just sexual violence. Husband's education is increasing as a decreasing effect, but increases the physical and emotional violence, and wife's education decreases the sexual violence. Husband employed decreases the sexual violence. Wife's education is decreasing the sexual violence clearly. Household sites is increasing the physical and sexual violence. Wealth is decreasing the physical violence. Kinship marriage again decreases physical and emotional violence. The number of co-wives is increasing all types of violence. Living in Amman increasing all types the emotional and physical violence. And living in an urban area decreases the physical violence. So these are the results. By the way, I should also briefly mention the method, the instrument they have used in the second analysis, and then in the next part, and then I will discuss the results, basically what those results are. So let's see you in the next part of this lecture. So.